Hey, Ghoul friends, it's me, Adrian, or Aiden. Either way, I am still your host, and you are still listening to Susto. Ghoul friends, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here, and if this is your first time or you're coming on over here from one of the other feed drops, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy you're here. Ghoul friends, as I mentioned in the last episode, I am taking the month of December off, so that means that I have recorded this from another time and another dimension. Just kidding, this means that I recorded this a couple weeks ago, because I wanted to take the month of December off just to kind of recenter, regroup, spend time traveling with my friends and family, and just kind of enjoying the holiday. I hope that you are also enjoying it, however, wherever, whatever you celebrate. I hope that you're having a good time. I hope you're having a relaxing time. And if you're not, I hope that I can help contribute in a positive way. Either way, I didn't want to leave you empty-handed, as I mentioned before. So before I let you know who you will be listening to today, I just want to remind you that if you have your own scary story that you want me to share on a Letters from the Beyond episode, or if it's a picture, video, audio, recording, anything else that you think I should share on the socials, you can send that via DM to the socials. That's at Susto Podcast across every platform. You can send it in an email to sustopodcast@gmail.com. You can send it through my website. That's www.sustopodcast.com. Or you can leave it in the Spotify Q&A or a 5-star Apple Podcasts review. And remember, the easiest way to support the show is by pressing all of those little buttons on your favorite podcast platform. Like, share, rate, review, whatever you can do on there. It means the world to me. And again, it's the easiest way to support the show. With that being said, I'll go ahead and introduce you to this week's guest, Uy, qué horror.
¡Bienvenidos a la cripta!
Ay. Hola, cariño.
Hola, amor.
Y bienvenides a Uy, qué horror, a Latinx horror movie podcast with Johnny and Eileen.
I'm Johnny.
And I'm Eileen. Oh my God. I'm so excited for this movie.
The time has come.
The time is here.
It has come. I just need to tell our listeners that my closet light does not work. And so I'm in darkness right now, lit just by my computer screen.
I am looking at double pocket of terror,
Yeah.
one on the left and one on the right. It's genuinely terrifying. If I look up at any point and there's a face behind you, I'm gonna freak the fuck
Well,
out.
I will too, because that face will be in this space with me. So, but it feels right for this film for there to not be any power in here, which we will get to as we,
No electricity.
as we get into it. Exactly. But yeah, I honestly, I'm thrilled for the vibes I have in here for it to get nice and spooky, especially
Great
for this
vibes.
movie.
Yeah. Also, I just found out this is more of a happier note. I just found out that Miss Nicaragua won Miss Universo.
Hell yeah. Congratulations
Come on,
to
come
you
through.
and your people.
Nicaragua, Nicaragüita, la flor más linda de mi querer. Ding, 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 ding. I could sing the whole thing, but
I know it. So yeah, congratulations to La Señorita, La Miss Universe, Shanice
La
Palacios.
Miss Universe.
Shanice, bueno, however you say it.
Felicidades a la
A
Miss
la
Nicoya.
reina. Wow.
La reina. Así me
Increíble.
gusta.
Yeah.
Nosotros somos bellas, que no vengan con esa mierda. Somos maybe
Hell
rude
yeah.
and maybe we say a lot of bad words, pero a mí me vale verga, somos lindas.
From Miss Ticuantepe to Miss Universe.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
Let's go.
now that all the good things have gone out of the way, we must talk about evil. Evil.
Yes.
I cannot tell you how many people not just talked to us about this, but like how many people texted me and being like, "Oh my God, have you seen
Yeah.
When Evil Lurks
Yes.
yet?"
Yes.
And I was like, no, not yet, no, not yet, no, not yet. And I was like, I'm saving it for the pod.
100%. Yes, absolutely.
And man, was it worth it.
Absolutely.
Holy shit.
I just want to mention that. So this came out in the movies not too long ago. And it is now
a rarity.
And now it is on Shudder. And so I was so fucking excited to go see this movie. Now, if we lived in the same place, I'm certain we would have gone together.
1,000%.
Pero we do not. And so I went to a matinee to see this. That's how excited I was. I was like, fuck this. I'm going to a matinee. It was like 11 o'clock in the morning. And I was the only person in the theater.
Jonathan, yo no sabía eso.
I was the only one in there, which at first I was super, super nervous. But my grandpa asked, that's like, everybody shut the fuck up and put your phones away and stop talking. It was a dream come true.
Nice.
So, yeah. And that was like before you had seen it. So I was like, these lips are sealed. I will not
My
discuss.
lips are sealed.
And exactly, because we know we got to save it for the pod. I appreciate everybody who reached out, you know, our listeners on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, just to be like, hello. Cuando es hecha la maldad, ¿cuándo? ¿Cuándo? Ajá. And here we are with When Evil Lurks. Let's fucking do it.
Okay, so When Evil Lurks, which is actually titled, because as you know, we're a Latino podcast.
Yeah.
We got to give it its proper name. Cuando acecha la maldad. Never heard the word acecha before, so love that already.
So to add to that, I also was like, acecha. So I looked it up.
It means to stalk.
Yes. So which
is different.
It is totally different. Like lurking and stalking are two very different things, in my opinion. And I actually think the word stalking or stalk is a lot more threatening than just like, oh, I'm lurking in the dark. Pero, and especially in this film, I feel like this motherfucker is stalking.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk about this. Okay. So, Cuando acecha la maldad de Argentina, from Che boludo, pelotudo. There's so much pelotudo in this. I love this. Oh my God. I have so many favorite lines from this. Oh my God. Okay. So it came out obviously this year, 2023, written and directed by Demian Rugna, who famously also did Terrifier. Or not Terror to Fire, Terrified.
Imagine if he did Terrifier.
It would be a whole different vibe. Honestly, I feel like Demian Rugna could probably do a decent Terrifier movie.
Absolutely.
He's not afraid of that gore, baby.
He is unafraid of everything. Also, just want to say, if you do want to listen to our Aterrados episode, it is episode 3. So go way back when, where we're still like, I'm pretty sure my audio is from Zoom or some shit, because it is, it's not great audio, but it's there.
Not only that, I'm pretty sure I was drinking wine still at the time, like I was having a solid can.
Forgot about that shit. Yeah, that was back when I was doing my sober 2020. I didn't drink for the entire year of 2020.
God, dude.
And when we recorded, you'd be like, I'm just going to pop a can of wine. Just going to have a time. Oh, man. Back in the day.
And also, I was still very, very easily spooked. And I watched Terrified or Aterrados while stoned. And I was like, no puedo.
Look, that movie is, I mean, it's fucking terrifying. Not to
have some questions of maybe connections. We'll get there. Okay.
Yeah. Let's get into this hoe.
I'm so excited. Okay. So Demian Rugna, I almost said San Francisco, Argentina. But before we jump into this film, which I'm literally clawing at my face wanting to talk about, please remember to subscribe, rate, and review, or we're going to stalk you. We're going to stalk you.
We will acechar you, I guess.
We will acechar you until we take over your body. And before we get to a synopsis, let's do some títulos de terror. Now,
give it to me.
Esta película me sorprendió bastante in like the different themes there were in there and
Yeah.
like the different little connections to other horror movies. So I was like, oh, should I do Cujo? Should I do It Follows?
Mhm.
Should I do maybe another one? But what I decided
Okay.
was Children of the Corn.
Love.
Never seen a minute of it. I know that there's a weird kid with a big hat in it.
Yeah. Yes. And there are like 568 of them. Not kids,
Right,
films.
right.
Like
Yeah.
so many fucking Children of the Corn movies.
Sí, entonces I just picked the first one. So
Yes.
Children of the Corn actually has a few names. En Argentina se llama Cosecha Negra.
Ay.
In Mexico, which is the one where they have most of the names, there's Los Niños del Maíz,
Wow.
La Cosecha del Terror, La Cosecha del Terror, Los Niños de Maíz, y también Niños Diabólicos. Okay.
No los niños de elote.
No, maíz, elote. I think maíz because maíz is like the actual, like growing. Elote is just the fruit of the maíz.
I just so badly wanted to be los niños de elote. Anyway.
Just fucking mayonnaise and,
Oh my
and
God,
queso
some
cotija
queso.
y tajín.
Oh my
limón.
God. And these kids are like, what? We're just fucking trying to enjoy our elote
We're just
over
eating
here.
elote, come mierda. Y en Brasil se llama Colheita Maldita or Os Filhos do Mal.
Colheita.
Colheita, which is like the cosechar, y a colheita is like what you get from when you farm.
The harvest.
The harvest, thank you.
Got it. Oh, wow. Look at us learning things here on the pod.
Sí. Lo mismo que quiere decir cosecha. Cosecha means harvest. So there you go.
Great.
So having said that, please give us a synopsis for this very spooky film.
All right, everyone. This synopsis I found from Google. Thank you, Google. The residents of a small rural town discover that a demon is about to be born among them. They desperately try to escape, but it may be too late.
Nice. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, agárrense las nalgas porque hay un montón aquí. Ay, Dios.
Vámonos.
Okay. Cuando acecha la maldad. We hear shots. A hand wipes a window to look out into the darkness as these shots continue. And we meet the brothers Pedro, which is the older one, y Jimmy. And they're grabbing their coats and their guns to go out into their land to see what's going on out there. Pedro tells Jimmy, who thinks that it might be poachers or hunters, that it can't be because he counted the shots. It was 5 of them.
Mm.
And a hunter would have a rifle and it wouldn't be 5 shots. So what he heard is a revolver. As they walk out the house, it's gone quiet. And Pedro says, Salimos con la clara. We'll go out at dawn. And we get our title card, Cuando acecha la maldad.
Can I just mention a few things right off the top?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Love that this movie is literally like, dive in, head first.
Dunk you in the... we are
In
right
it.
away.
I
Amazing.
love this so very much. Also, we usually say this with movies that have recently come out. If you have not seen this, please press pause.
You must.
And even if you're a scaredy cat and you're like, no, Johnny, Eileen, I just want Eileen to tell me what happens. No, I'm gonna say, stop now. You know our fucking podcast is spoiler central, so pause and watch this hoe. I will give you my Shudder account info. Just send us an email. I will send it to you so you can watch this first.
You must. You absolutely must.
And also, right off the top, I remember when I was in the movies watching this, I was like, I can see, first of all, I loved Aterrados. But I was like,
Loved it.
right off the bat, I was like, I can see the growth already.
1,000%.
The man this was such a lovely, subtle way of establishing like where we are, who we are, what it feels like outside. Like el hermano dice a Jimmy, abrígate or abrigate, whatever the word is. And I was like, okay, we're in the country. It's cold. These are men who like that. He knows the shots. He know that just from the sound of it. I loved it. I was literally just like, we have landed in this.
Yeah.
And it's subtle. Ooh, very well done.
And another thing that's very good that he does is, even though immediately we know so much information, he also sprinkles throughout this film. It's a lot of little tiny puzzle pieces, not a puzzle that is the movie, a puzzle that is like information about characters and finding out little by little who they are and how they got here.
Yes, and this world.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's dawn, and the brothers and two doggies go to investigate where they heard these shots coming from in these woods. So we see as they walk through this like campo, it looks like farmland, but they go through some barbed wire into overgrown area. So you can tell like this is, you can see in the landscape, oh, flat is being worked on. This is like farm, and then into brush, woods kind of vibe. They walk a little bit and the dogs are making noises and sniffing and barking, and they finally come across a hand. But it's only a hand. And honestly, not even a full hand, like just fingers. Los dedos. And literally 2 steps away from those dedos, piernas.
Uy, pero solo.
Girl.
Puta.
Just piernas.
I mean, from the butt down. Where is this man?
Where is the top of this man? It is
sir,
legs and guts coming out of the top. Just bloop.
Wow.
Horrible.
But awesome.
Awesome. It's awesome. And Jimmy and Pedro are both very cash. They're like, maybe un gato grande, una puma. No, niño, ya son piernas.
Yo, dude, I would have been gritando. Pero that's another thing. In like that, I was like, oh, you all aren't freaking out. It says a lot about them. Yeah. Again, it says a lot about like, I'll just keep using like this world that we live in, that they live in. I don't crazy.
Yeah. So he's like, a cat. Maybe it was a cat. And Pedro is like, my dude, this guy was cut. This guy was cut in half.
Damn.
So right next to these legs and fingers, they find an open suitcase. And it's got these like pieces of, I don't know, something. It looks like machinery of some sort, but old-timey. Yeah. It's almost like copper looking, almost as if it would connect to build a telescope, but an old-timey telescope.
Yes.
I said Da Vinci tool.
Yeah, totally. And I will add to that, remember the movie 13 Ghosts? At the end of 13 Ghosts, there is like a huge spinny contraption thing that gives me this vibes, except that this telescope thing, Da Vinci Code telescope, is like, not Da Vinci Code, is smaller, you know?
Yeah.
But it seems, you know, like science-y, but like Leonardo da Vinci would have been like working it.
Yeah. Now, this is where I ask you, do you remember in Terrified, the 3 ghost hunters, didn't they have tools like this?
Oh, man. I don't want to say anything incorrect, but I'm not going to say no to that either. It's quite possible.
I have a brief memory of them having tools like this. And I'm like, Demian, is this some sort of like sequel connected universe? Like, what's the jam? And later on, I'll bring up more stuff where I'm like, is this a Terrified fucking connection here.
Well,
Pero
more on that, pin in this thing. Pero I will say, watching this film, I was like, oh man, I gotta watch Aterrados again. It's been too
Sí, yo
long.
también.
Honestly, it's been since we
Igualito.
covered it. So
same.
yeah, so it's time to revisit that spooky baby.
So as we're looking at these like parts that are in the suitcase, Jimmy picks a piece up and he's like, he seems to recognize it, but he doesn't really know what it's for. And as Pedro's looking through these things, he finds a notebook. And inside the notebook is a map drawn. And he says, look, it looks like they're following a shortcut through these woods to get over the hill to Maria Elena's house. And in the notebook, there's also a photocopy of Maria Elena's ID and some writing in a language that they're like Ruso, pero no era Ruso. Okay, let's go over to Maria Elena's house. So they walk over and the dogs are worked up. Maria Elena and her young son come out of their humble little shack. And the brothers are like, hey, hola, doña Maria Elena, ¿cómo está? Pero la Maria Elena, something's up. She looks not, she looks unwell.
Unwell, as we like to say.
Yeah, but not unwell, like sick. She's like concerned, unsure, wary. Something's going on.
Yes. Also, I just have to add here, again, this was so well done here and done in such a subtle way where Pedro says to her, it's been years since we've seen each other. And I'm like, you all live close enough that you can walk here, but you don't see each other. And I was just like, these brothers, no sé, like they stay where they are and that's it. And I was like, interesting. It says a lot about like, they're kind of hermiting themselves. It connects to, what we learn about them.
Exactly. And the fact they're all staying in the same land, on the same piece of land, they all talk about Don Ruiz, who we'll meet in a little bit, who is like the owner of this land. So it is interesting that they're like, son años que no nos vemos. And you're like, ooh, okay. So they tell Maria Elena that they're here because they were checking the woods because they heard shots last night. Did you hear shots? And she's very quiet but nodding yes. And she's like, they're like, were you maybe expecting someone? Because we had this notebook and whatever. And if you were expecting someone, sorry, he ain't making it.
That was great. They're like, you won't be expecting him anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Maria Elena's like, yeah, they were running late. The person that was coming, la persona que viene a matar a Uriel. And you're just like, huh?
She's great, this actress, because
so good.
You can see her, like you mentioned, that she's very like hesitant. She doesn't say anything for a long time, but you can see her make the decision to be like, I need to tell you something, which she does. Yeah. It's very good.
Exactly. So they make their way inside this shack, and we find a horrible sight. Uriel, who is Maria Elena's older son, lies on a small bed. Now, this man is so bloated and covered in like pustules.
Boils.
His eye is boils. His eye is swollen shut. There's pus on the corner of the eye.
Gagged a little bit. Oh, God.
Genuinely, I have gagged. I haven't gagged in a lot of movies.
Dude, yeah.
This movie made me gag twice. In this part, when we see this man is so, like, I'm going to say he looks so bloated that if you were to, like, push him a little too much, he would pop.
It's like he's a giant cystic zit. and like, it's literally coming out of his mouth.
Oh my God, when the pus
I'm sweating.
Came out of his mouth. I was taking notes this morning, and I was taking notes during this part, and I was like, I'm gonna vom because my gag reflex is so sensitive in the morning that God. I was like, I don't know if I could do this.
Yeah. Oh God.
But I did it.
You did it.
Y la María Elena, bien casualmente, she's like, está embichado. Está encarnado. He's possessed. But like, there's no fear, nothing. She's just saying it like it's any old day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Y está encarnado ya hace rato. He's been possessed for a while now. Okay. And she says, and we were waiting for someone to come here and take care of him. And she doesn't mean take care of him as in like, I'm going to fix him. Take care of him as in kill him. Like, that's why she says, estábamos esperando a alguien que viniera a matar a Uriel.
Yeah.
Y de nuevo, casually saying, a matar a mi hijo.
Yes.
Y ella dice, it's my fault. I prayed and I lit una candela para el santo. And then Pedro snaps at her and says, las iglesias murieron, doña. And this is another moment where you're like, oh, we're finding out about the world now.
Yes.
The churches are dead, ma'am. And the way he snaps at her, it's almost like she's being defiant by doing something churchy, religious or something like that.
Like she should have known. But it's incredible. Like when Pedro and Jimmy come in, of course they're horrified. But immediately when she's like, está embichado, this is the fact. There's no, that's what's up.
Nobody fights it. Everybody immediately believes it, and that is the truth. And another thing I loved about this, that I was like, there isn't a lot of pushback of like, oh, it's not a demon. A demon?
Yeah.
No demon. No. People are like, oh, embichado, encarnado, got it. Cool.
If there's pushback, it's always for a specific reason that doesn't have to do with like, I don't believe in it's never that about belief.
Correcto.
And so like that is the world we live in. The church is dead.
Yeah.
And possession happens to people.
Happens.
And it's like when you say embichado, like I think of a bicho, like a bug or like So it feels like a sickness or like an infection. And when you look at this person, I'm like, don't touch that motherfucker, because if you do, that embichado is contagious and that shit's gonna spread. And I love that idea. Like that is a really interesting take on possession. That's like, it's a sickness. It's a very contagious sickness. And it spreads easily. Woo!
We'll see. So, Maria Elena's younger son explains that they were scared of letting Don Ruiz, the landowner, know because they didn't want to get thrown out of the land or evicted. And so, Maria Elena explains that we took care of him so he wouldn't die. I was like, I rewound it several times because I heard it and I listened to it and I was like, wow, this is crazy. We took care of him so he wouldn't die, but so that they would come and kill him. So she's literally saying, que no se muriera, pero que lo vinieran a matar. What? At first I was like, how does this make sense? You're taking care of him so he wouldn't die, but so that they would come and kill him? ¿Qué está pasando? Okay.
Yeah.
And then she says, but they were taking a very long time. And Pedro asks, did you report this? Over a year ago.
Fuck.
And to who? And cut to, the brothers are driving over to their small town police station. And inside, they talk to an officer and to the superintendente, who asks them if they've ever seen un embichado before. They're like, no, I don't think so. So how do you even know that this guy is embichado? So many people report encarnados, and so many times they turn out to be fake. Pero el Pedro, who is losing his patience, is like, bro, this guy is a ball of fucking pus. He's so bloated. Call the mayor. Someone has to do something. It's been a year. El limpiador that came to fucking take care of this guy is fucking dead, sliced in two, my dude. Like, hello? Pero el superintendente is like, no, come mierda. Nobody spoke to me about it. I don't fucking know.
Sure. And
then he says, you're going to get in trouble again, Pedro. And I say, again, okay? Another little piece of this puzzle.
Yes. So this is where first of all, I love that it's like cops, people, authority, even the fucking mayor. Nobody is saying like, I don't believe you. Like everybody agrees that embichados, encarnados exist, but this is so specific because they're like, it's not that I don't believe you, I'm just turning a blind eye and I'm pretending like I don't know anything. And I was like, ooh, this says so much about the system, the man, if you will.
And not only that, along with all of that, the officer turns around and says, Estamos en el culo del mundo. Why would there be an encarnado here? We're in the fucking armpit of the world. Why would there be a fucking possessed person here? Which is another little crumb of like, he's not saying, what are you talking about, possessed guy?
Mm-hmm.
We're so far away from everything. Why would they come here? Like, that's says a lot, too.
Well, yeah, to me, I'm like, this, I will say this movie, there were a lot of themes that upon first watch, I was like, I'm not quite getting it. I think this movie takes a few viewings. I would recommend a few viewings.
Absolutely.
But there was something about like, if it's out in the country, nobody cares. Even if it's happening there. No, it didn't. Nobody cares. Fucked.
So back at the farm, Pedro and Jimmy speak to Don Ruiz, the landowner. And he tells the brothers that the cops have washed their hands of this. So obviously Don Ruiz has spoken to the cops. He says, nobody's coming to see that dead body or the embichado. And Pedro says, listen, somebody killed that limpiador so that he wouldn't get to Maria Elena's house. Plus, the mayor, he did know about this. He was the one that they let know, and he let it pass. And Jimmy is like, also, they told us not to speak about it because it'll turn this land worthless. It'll put a black mark over our land and turn it worthless, okay? We'll lose everything. And they also said that we should get out now, and they'll send a new limpiador. Sure. And Pedro says, pero el Uriel is about to die. Like, he's about to die. And there's no time to wait for another limpiador. Now, remember, I go back to what Maria Elena said. We're taking care of him so he would not die so they can come and kill him. Okay. Don Ruiz takes all this info in and he's like, listen, my dogs left a month ago.
Ooh.
They say first it makes the animals go crazy, and then even the dead go crazy. Pero Don Ruiz is convinced this was the state. El Estado nos mandó esto. They did this so that they could take my land. And that's why they left us all alone here. Les chupamos un huevo. I love it. Les chupamos un huevo. Like we're not worth anything to them. Right. Not even a fucking testicle.
So much huevo talk in like our lingo. Like, fuck, what was the other one?
Know.
Este huevo quiere sal. Just give us more huevo lines.
Más huevo. Exactly.
Más huevos.
So it's dinner time at Don Ruiz's house. He's like the rich dude. And he sits at his dinner table with his pregnant wife, Jimena. Pero de repente, él se levanta and he storms off and he drives up to Maria Elena's house, shotgun in hand. He kicks down her door and he heads right into Uriel's room. And Maria Elena's begging him, please don't shoot him. Don't shoot Uriel. Así no se mata la maldad. It'll be worse. And then the young boy is like, if you kill him, you're gonna die. Y la Maria Elena, por favor, no lo mate, no le dispare.
Uy.
It'll get into our bodies and our souls.
Ugh.
It has to be someone that knows how to do it.
Listen to this woman.
Listen to the women in your life.
Listen to
please.
the woman. You know what? I'm just gonna say right here. I feel like this movie should be called "When Evil Lurks." Listen to the woman. Listen to women. Listen to
Women.
Would you just listen to him?
Please. From the bed, Uriel, our pussball, says, Mátame, Ruiz. Mátame. Cagón. I love this word.
That's a new one to Moo. To Moo. This is a new one to Moo.
A new one to Moo, too.
Yes.
So cagón means,
Cagón.
I guess in Argentina means coward.
Cobarde.
So
yeah.
un cagón.
Mhm.
And I was like, ooh, that's a good one. Mátame, Ruiz cagón. Mátame before I get into Jimena's belly y encarne la vida que lleva adentro.
How do you know that?
Uh-huh. Kill me before I get into your pregnant wife's belly and I encarne your fucking baby. Mm-hmm. And then he says, you'll be the first I visit cuando me libere.
Yeah.
The next day, Jimena arrives with the brothers to Maria Elena's house because Don Ruiz spent the night sitting in his camioneta. And she's worried. She bangs on the window that he's done something stupid. But the brothers run back from inside the house and they check to see if Uriel was alive. And Uriel is still alive. And the brothers tell Don Ruiz that, mira, we're thinking of leaving, dude. This is too much. We can't deal with this shit. Pero el Ruiz says, nope, it's that fucking guy that's leaving. And you're helping me lug him out of here.
Dude.
A lo podrido hay que sacarlo antes que se pudra el resto. You need to get rid of the rot before everything else rots with it.
This was so frustrating to me because I was just like, in this world where there seem to be rules that we are discovering, this man is he's making up his own rules and deciding things, just being like, I'm the man in charge here. I decide what goes. And I'm just like,
yeah. Impulse.
I feel like we already know that you know that this is the wrong choice, but you can't control yourself. And it's very frustrating.
Absolutely. So the three men head inside, and with the sheet that he's lying in, they lift this ball of pus man.
Oof.
And mira, brother. Listen, this movie is super brutal, but I also love that it's disgusting. Yeah. This man, they show a shot from like his feet up, and did you see his penis and how it was?
That thing is moldy. That dick is covered in like creamy gunk.
Ew, Jonathan! Oh my God, my mouth is full of saliva. Mira, porque
it's
Uriel,
almost brown.
This guy, yeah, it's genuinely yellow. Like that's what, like, ew. Es que la cosa es, the man is in his underwear. He's fully like, he's not wearing clothes, so you're just, horrible. It's disgusting. Sorry, everybody. And so, all the while, they're yelling, don't touch him, don't touch him. And finally, they're able to lug this man, which genuinely was like, he's going to pop. They're going to move him and he's going to pop.
There is a shot from, and I, in my brain, I was like, I bet he's leaking. And they give you a shot of because he's like lifted in a blanket or whatever, and he's just leaking. Oh my God. It's fucking gross.
Holy shit. So finally they put him in the back of Ruiz's truck and they drive. Ooh.
Everybody breathe.
They go over 200 kilometers and Ruiz turns to Pedro to tell him, hey, you did good. You did good today.
Fuck you.
Pero I know. Pero he doesn't see that a child and his bicycle have wandered onto the road. Y Jimmy from the back seat is like, oye, viene un chavalo. Hello.
Che, boludo.
Che, boludo. Pelotudo. And they fucking swerve all over the place. La concha de Dios. Which I was like, love it. So finally they stop, ready to dump El Embichado. They all come out of the truck and we hear Don Ruiz say, Reputa madre. The 3 men go to check, and he's gone.
Hmm.
The big ball of pus is gone. And there's like pus shit all over the truck. Guacatela.
Ugh.
Y Rui dice, it's fine. He fell when we swerved that kid before, so he's far away enough. That's it. Not our problem anymore.
You're an idiot.
It's night. The brothers are back home. They're trying to decompress. Ruiz and his wife are back home, and they're trying to decompress. And I'll tell you guys, there ain't no decompressing this one.
Ooh, I
We
loved. No, you can't. I loved this section because it takes its like finally for a moment we slow down,
Yes.
and it's just
yeah.
like these like lovely long but very ominous
Still
shots.
tension-filled moments.
And I love that Ruiz is at the table and there's just a storm and thunder,
a brewing.
lightning, a brewing. And I was like, oh, you all are so screwed. Shouldn't have touched that body, that leaky ass body.
It's the morning, and we hear Jimena call for Ruiz. He runs outside to where she's standing by the goats, and she points at one. Esa cabra. Y Ruiz looks over at the crowd of goats, and he points at it and says, Vos. He gets his shotgun, and he blasts one into the air, and all the goats scatter, except for one. Black Phillip, is that you?
Hello. Wouldst thou I like to live, what is it, deliciously?
Deliciously? Wouldst thou like the taste of butter? So Jimena begs Ruiz, por favor, don't shoot it, don't shoot it. And she waddles over, because remember, she's prego.
Bro,
And she
that
waddles
lady is ready.
to pop.
Ooh.
She waddles over to a pile of wood. She grabs an axe and she's like, please, still screaming, no la tires, no, don't shoot it. Nos vas a condenar. We're going to be parents, please. Pero no. El Don Ruiz stands ready with the shotgun in his hand. And the goat, who's been standing there staring at him, slowly and deliberately starts walking right up to the barrel of the gun. And the goat puts its head right up to the fucking gun.
Asking for it.
Dude. Don Rui is about to pull away, like he almost has a moment of clarity when the goat bleats. And bam! He shoots the goat right in the face and it falls down dead. And chop! From behind, Jimena fucking swings that axe right into Ruiz's face. He falls down dead, and then Jimena turns the axe on herself and chop, chop, chop into her own face.
And we have a close-up. It's just like we watch her chop her face.
And to the point where it's almost mechanic, because she's doing it and doing it. She falls to her knees, and she's still doing it, but she's like slowing down because she's dying. Dude, fucked. And also, it's the cover of the poster.
Yes.
When you see that poster, that's Jimena chopping her face off.
Yeah. This is one of the top sequences of this film, I think.
So good.
And for many, many reasons. But the fact that Jimena, when she comes out and she's like, esa cabra, when this is a herd, and it's all
so many
look
of
the
them.
same, but she knows and Ruiz knows. And again, I'm just like, in this supernaturally aware world, they just know. And
the thing is, what I loved about that, so sorry to interrupt you very quickly. We get a camera sweep of all the goats, and it's almost like we're expecting to see a weird goat standing there, but you can't tell. Not until he shoots in the air and they all run away do we see who the goat is. So it's like we don't know we can't see it as the audience.
And
it's like it's so unnerving.
I mean, the goat, it literally has like a tag in its ear. Like it's part of the herd.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to say this like 57 times. Listen to your lady.
To the women.
Listen to she's like, And he knows too. I was just like, dude, do not act on your impulse here. Please don't do this. You know better. If only
Yeah.
he had listened to her. Okay. And also, Demian Rugna is fearless. And I love that in his films, from here on out, however many more films we get from this man, I'm so excited. I can't wait. Nothing is off limits. This
Absolutely not.
pregnant woman just chopped herself in the face with an axe, and we got it like widescreen. We just watched it. Ooh.
Yeah.
Damn.
I also want to remind everybody that Uriel, that our sack of pus, said, "You'll be the first I visit
Yep.
when I'm free." Okay. Over with the brothers, Jimmy stares into the fireplace. He looks up at some antlers that are hung on the wall, and he sees that the shadows weirdly grow. And then there's a knock. It's Maria Elena's young son. And he tells the brothers that he went over to the Ruiz's house and they're both dead. And that his mom, Maria Elena, has disappeared. Something happened to her. And he begs the brothers to stay with them. He's freezing. But the brothers are like, I don't know, dog. There's some encarnados running around. We don't want to fuck around with that shit. Pero Pedro lets him stay over in the stable room, basically. But he says, you got to leave at dawn, dude. You got to fuck off and leave your gun behind. And so El Chavalo leaves his revolver. And as he's heading to the stables, he turns and he says to the brothers, don't use electric light. Hace sombras que atrae la maldad.
Uy.
It makes shadows that attracts the evil. And Jimmy quietly whispers to Pedro, why would his mom abandon him? Es mentiroso. Okay.
Now, I will say this is where the word lurks does fit better.
Uh-huh.
And also, I love that it's like electric light, electricity. Those shadows are what attract evil. And that is so powerful because that's us. You know, like we are always surrounded by, you know, our fucking light bulbs, whatever. And that's just so smart of this movie to be like, you flip that light switch on and you're attracting the evil in that pocket of terror over there. That's where it's lurking. Yep. Ooh, I think that's so smart.
Very cool. Jimmy lines up 5 bullets on the coffee table, and Pedro comes up with a plan. And we hear his voiceover play as the brothers are driving at dawn. We cut to the dawn and they are out of here. And we hear Pedro say, we don't take anything from here. No clothes, no valuables, no memories. We go to the pueblo, I grab my kids, and we fuck off out of here. So Pedro gets dropped off at a house in town and Jimmy drives off in the truck. And Pedro bangs on the door until a man comes out. This is Leo. Leo is Pedro's ex-wife Sabrina's new husband. And Leo opens the door. It's obviously super early in the morning and he's kind of still asleep. And he's like, dude, what are you doing here? You can't be here. Like, does Sabrina know you're coming? What's going on? And Pedro barges in and he's like, listen, dude, wake up Sabrina and the kids. Get me 2 sets of clothes right now, one for me, one for my brother. And Pedro starts to strip. He just starts taking off all his clothes. And Leo still is like, what? He's all discombobulated. He's like, dude, if you're in trouble, I'm going to ask you to not involve my family. And you're not really allowed to be here. Like, what's going on? Pero Pedro, basically, desnudo ya, is like, bro, get me clothes and wake the fucking people up. Y sale, the sweetest looking dog de Bordeaux. Oh my God, just a wrinkly orange sweet nugget. I was like, when he came out, I was like, oh, doggy, look how cute he is. Oh my God, I wanted to bury my face in his fucking rolls. I love dogs de Bordeaux. They're so cute. And this dog, his name is Roger, is sniffing all of Pedro's clothes. Sniff, 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 sniff. As Sabrina comes downstairs carrying her daughter Vicky, she's like, "Yeah, you off desnudo en mi casa. What are you doing here? You gotta leave. What the fuck are you doing here?" And he's like, "Necesito ropa."
Literally holding my cock and balls.
Yeah, exactly. Smash cut to Pedro burning his clothes outside on the curb of the house, and Sabrina and Leo are watching him like, okay, this guy has gone crazy. And he starts to head back inside to explain to them, pero Sabrina stops him and she's like, "You're violating the restraining order."
Oop.
Oh, okay.
Hmm?
Pero sale corriendo from inside of the house Santino, who is Pedro and Sabrina's son. He's, I'm going to say, 5?
Sure.
He uses the kid basically to get inside. He's like, "Oh, Santino, nice to see you. Let's wiggle inside." And so they go inside and he tells him, "Mira, go get some clothes, some nice warm stuff. Go wake up your brother. We're going on a trip." And Sabrina's like, "You're not going on a fucking trip. Like, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of my house. What the fuck are you doing? You can't do this." And Pedro says, "Nope, we're all leaving. Not just me and the kids. Everybody's leaving." And then he says, "There's an encarnado en el pueblo, and it's free. It's been liberated. This town is gonna be un infierno en poco tiempo." And Leo and Sabrina are like, "What are you talking about? This is insane." Not in a possession. You're crazy.
No.
And more of a, why are you here breaking the restraining order, acting like a crazy person? Like, it's not
Yes.
about the possession. It's about the way that Pedro is acting.
Yeah, it's about their relationship and it's about their past. And it's the stakes here are so high, so fast that you can tell that there's just like some shit happened between all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Leo's like, "Should I call the lawyer?" And Sabrina's like, "No, dude, call the fucking cops. Why? He's scaring my kids. What the fuck?" And in the other room is Roger, el perro, and Santino asks his dad, as the parents and the adults are all yelling, "Papa, can Roger come with us?" And he's like, "Yes, absolutely." And as he's petting the dog, here comes la little Vicky, la hermanita, que she is daughter of Leo and Sabrina, so half-sister to Santino. And he's like, "What about Vicky? Can Vicky come?" And he's like, "Yes, we're all going." And so they're like, he's like, "Go get your brother and then we can fucking get the fuck out of here." And so Santino goes to check on his brother while Vicky stays behind loving on Roger. Leo and Sabrina and Pedro continue arguing. And he says, "I saw with my own eyes el embichado. We have to fuck off out of here. Where are the keys to the car?" And Sabrina yells, and Leo is on the phone, and the family is pure chaos. And no one sees in the other room. Chomp! Roger goes right for Lil Vicky's face. And I'm not saying like off screen or any of that shit. No, my dude said, "Chomp en la cara de esta niña." And Santino sees it all from the stairs. The dog drags Vicky under the dinner table, and Santino, in shock, like follows to go see. And under the dinner table, that dog said, "New toy?
Oh.
Rag doll?" He shakes that girl. Like, if you've, okay, dog owners, people that have seen dogs, when they get that like floppy toy and they do the fun, like shake the head, flap, flap, flap. He does that with that child.
It gave me the T-Rex in Jurassic Park eating that man off the toilet. When the T-Rex attacks the cars. I just
yes.
fucking
Shake.
flopping. Now I expected an attack. I didn't expect rag. I didn't expect us to see that little girl being just tossed
Like a salad.
Broken.
And yes, truly. And Santino starts to scream and he's like, "Hello, fucking adults, please. El Roger mordió a la Vicky, le está lastimando." And Leo on the phone goes to look under the table, and Roger said, "It's my toy. I take it outside and I play with it." And he drags that little girl by the face, face and takes her out the door.
And the thing too is like sorry, pero you do hear her screaming, but not for long. And so you're like,
and the screams are muffled because they are inside this dog's mouth.
but at this point I'm like, oh, she's dead, y'all.
Oh, dead.
Dead.
The way he shook her, honey.
That shake, she's broken. Oof.
Yeah, that neck went snap. There's no way.
Snap. Absolutely. Which again, I'm like, wow, Demian. Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay, let's go. Let's keep going.
He said, watch this, fucker.
Yeah.
So Leo and Pedro run out of the house as Sabrina literally falls to her knees in a mental breakdown. She's like, holy shit. Entonces Leo is running, screaming for Vicky, y el Pedro runs after him. But after a while, he's like, I have a plan to follow. So he goes back to the house. He runs upstairs to grab his other son, Jair. And Jair is about 14 years old, maybe teen, nonverbal autistic kid. So Pedro has to carry him down. He's like, the kid tries to bite himself. And he's like, no, Pedro, no, Jair, por favor, no te mordas. And so like, he has to be genuinely careful with this kid.
Yeah.
Leo has come back from running outside and grabbed his shotgun. And Pedro's like, dude, don't use your gun. Don't use your gun. You can't use gunpowder. And he says, you're not going to find a dog. Vas a buscar un demonio. And I was like, oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Pero Leo is freaking the fuck out and he runs out and he gets into his troca and he drives out into going to look for Vicky. Outside, the cops have come, same officer from the little police station from before.
Boy.
And Pedro tells him about the dog, but the cop is like, he thinks it's just family shit again. Because he goes, ¿Qué hiciste, Pedro?
Uh-huh. And they know it's like we know each other here.
Yeah. And we know what you've done in the past,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you can't be here close to your wife. Pero Pedro just says, don't shoot at the dog. And he runs. Pero then he hears it, a gunshot. And he finds Leo standing over this dog with his gun. And Pedro is just like, okay. And he runs back. And in the background, we see Leo shoot the dog again. Back at the house, Vicky is back.
Oh, my God.
Not a scratch on her.
All smiles.
Perfecta está
Fresh as a
esta
daisy.
chavalita. Oh, my goodness. Sabrina sobs. She's so happy. Alguien busca a Leo. She's back. She's fine. She's back. And Vicky hugs her mom close and sweetly says, Papi va a matarte. Girl. And Sabrina's like, ¿Qué dijiste? ¿Cómo?
Ay, mi amor,
And
¿qué
Vicky-
dijiste? What?
And Vicky pulls away from her mom and gives her a big smile and says, Papi is going to come home en el auto y pum, and smacks her hands together.
Smiling.
I would kick that kid.
Oh, but
I would
I
be
don't
like-
care that it's my daughter. ¿Qué dijiste?
Adios.
Ve
¿Cómo?
a tu cuarto.
There's an encarnado and you're telling me that my husband's
Yeah.
gonna... Okay, me voy.
That little girl nailed that part, by the way.
Oh, she's so good.
And shout out to this
So-
to this mom actress. Very
Oh,
good.
she's
I was like,
good.
way to commit. Oh, she's
Uh-huh.
awesome.
So Pedro has got his two boys the keys to Sabrina's car after promising to Jair some apple ice cream, because I guess that calms him down. And he drives out of the garage, and him and Sabrina lock eyes as he's about to drive away. Pero he has to stop because Leo's truck is speeding down the fucking street, and boom, he fucking annihilates La Sabrina, obliterates her. He fucking
a
runs
gush
into
of
her,
blood.
gush of blood
Ugh.
against the wall of their house. And Pedro's like, he sees it happen. Fucking el pobre Jair, who is turned towards the window where this happens, he sees it too. And they're just like, okay, we gotta go. And Pedro books it. Leo wakes up in his airbag and he looks out the window and he sees little Vicky hopping up and down with glee. Jesus Christ.
Honestly, again, I was like, one of the top 3 moments of this film for me was this little girl just like, yay!
Yay! It was so
it's so
crazy.
fucked. But again,
so
I was
fucked.
just like, oh man,
It was awesome.
it's so fucked.
Pedro drives up to another house where Jimmy is waiting outside, and it's their mom's house. So they pick up La Señora and off they go. And in the car, they explain to her about the embichado. Y la señora dice, oh, we're too far away for something like that to happen. That's only in the big cities, which is another droplet of info. You saw something that you didn't understand and you got scared and you let your imagination run wild. That's fine. And Pedro's like, Mom, no, it's happening. And Santino, lying in her lap, is like, Abue, que es un encarnado. And Jair starts making he's like, makes guttural sounds, but soon they start sounding like he's saying encarnado as he is making these vocalizations. Y la Abue explica. Un encarnado is something very bad. It goes inside your body and it uses it to be born. And she sings a little song. Se meten en tu cuerpo, te infectan la mente, te roban lo más preciado de tu vida. Tu cuerpo ya no es tu cuerpo. Okay, so if y'all didn't get that, they go inside your body, they infect your mind, they rob you of your most precious things. Your body is their body. Pero she says you can protect yourself. There's 7 rules to protecting yourself. Okay, everybody write this down. No electric light.
Got
no
it.
luz
Here in my
eléctrica.
closet. No lights in here.
You're doing it. 2, don't go near animals. 3, don't take anything that was near un encarnado. 4, no hay que lastimarlos. You can't hurt them. 5, never name the evil by its name. And then she just starts fucking Beelzebub, fucking Azrael. She just starts naming the devil names.
Señora.
Y hasta el Santino dice, güey, you're saying them. Hello. And then 6, número 6, never shoot them with firearms. Y Santino dice, but you're missing one. No, yo no creo. I think that's it. All the while, Jair has been like vocalizing. And suddenly, these last words we see in this scene sound a lot like Azrael, which is one of the evil's names.
Abuelita, ¿qué hiciste?
At a gas station, we find out that they don't have apple ice cream. Plus, the gang is low on money. And without the apple ice cream, Jair is going to not relax and not be quiet. Cuando de repente toca un celular. And Pedro's like, yeah, I told you, you can't bring fucking shit with you. And I was like, no, it's mine. And she looks, and it's Sabrina calling. Y Pedro inmediatamente snatches that phone. He goes outside of the car to answer. Te llevaste a mis hijos. And Pedro tells Sabrina, quote unquote, on the other line, they're fine. I have the kids. They're great. Don't worry about it. It's chill.
I'm talking to a dead person. It's cool. It's cool. We're fine. It's great.
It's cool. No sabes que tus hijos no te quieren. Don't you know your kids don't love you? They don't want to live with you. That's why I was always unfaithful. Y por eso tuve que ir a revolcarme con todos porque no sos nada. Girl, this line took me out.
Wow.
That's why I have to go. Revolcarme is such a great word. Because in the captions it says, that's why I was unfaithful. I fucked everybody in town because you're not a man.
Yeah.
Pero revolcarme means to roll in the dirt.
Oh,
to
man.
get
Y'all are
disgusting.
tumbling around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Along those same
Revolcarme.
lines, I will say that the Shudder subtitles I think, do a disservice to people who do not speak Spanish
I agree.
because there was stuff that I discovered upon second viewing,
Mhm.
because I speak Spanish, that I did not catch when I first watched this. And I don't think that the subtitles in English give you some of the subplot here. I think
I
some
agree.
people might be missing out a little bit on what's going on here, unfortunately.
Yeah. And not to be this person, but a lot of subtitles now are done by AI. And like,
then they don't get
just
it.
like
They don't get the subtext.
computer picking up. No, exacto.
Yeah.
Another reason they're fucking us over. The
Yeah, what
robots
the
will
fuck?
take us. Okay. So she's saying, me tuve que ir a revolcarme con todos. You're not a man. No sos nada. You're not a man. And that's why you gave me a broken kid.
Oh,
Talking about Jair, which is fucked.
well, that's the moment you're like, okay, clearly this is not this kid's
Demonio.
mother, because she would never say this.
Right. And she says, I know where you are, and I'll come get my kids. And Pedro says to her, Sabrina, yo te vi morir. And he breaks the phone. Jimmy comes to check on him, and Pedro's a mess. And Pedro's like, I saw Leo run over Sabrina. I saw her die. That wasn't her. And he's sobbing, and he's like, I feel crazy, whatever. I was the one that took the evil to them. And honestly, he's right.
Listen, you should have been more careful with those clothes. Sorry to say it. The moment
You should have taken your clothes outside.
Go to the yard.
Empelotate. Yeah.
Come
on.
Be like, will somebody hose me down? Algo. You weren't careful enough.
No. And Jimmy stops him. He's like, dude, don't. No, that's not true. Estoy orgulloso de ti. And he holds his brother and he says, I know someone that might help. She's on the way to the city. And so they go. And we arrive at Mirta's house. Mirta's an older lady. She approaches the car where Pedro still is like inside freaking out. And very seriously, she's like, aquí no hay luz eléctrica. There's no electricity, but there's plenty of room. And even though Pedro's just like, I just want to borrow money from this lady and keep going, they stay. Because Jair needs changing and Jimmy just thinks they need some rest. And so Pedro finally agrees. In the house, Jimmy and Mirta talk. El nene parece embichado. Kid looks like he's possessed. And Jimmy says, oh, he's autistic. That's not embichado. He's just autistic. And she's like, I know. You told me. And Jimmy asks her about seeing embichados when she lived in the city. And that she told him a long time ago about the embichados because she doesn't seem to remember telling him about it. And she asks him, what did you come here for? And Jimmy says that they saw a real encarnado. And she says, did you see babies that don't cry? Shadows that move on their own? Animals that do stuff that they wouldn't do? And Jimmy says he's not sure what he saw and maybe it's all in his brother's mind. And Mirta asks, is that the brother that plugged the estufa, that plugged the heater? And Jimmy defends his brother and is like, that's just a bunch of bullshit that his ex-wife came up to so that she can keep the kids in the divorce. And you know, small towns spread rumors and they love to say pelotudenses. Dicen pelotudenses total. Es gratis. I love that. They love to talk bullshit because it's free.
Fucking chismes,
Yeah.
Now,
Chismoso. Pelotudenses.
This is where the subtitles to me, I was like, estufa, to me, means stove.
Okay, and I thought this too, and I'll tell you why. And it only came to me in the second viewing.
Mm-hmm.
Estufa also means heater.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a quick moment that I didn't mention here, but I'll tell you now. There's a quick moment when Pedro goes to get Jair in the house where he looks over to a thing that looks like an AC, but is actually a room heater.
Yeah.
And it's a very quick moment that you're like, why are we looking at this machine very
Yes.
fast?
The heater and like the window is cracked. And I was just like, there's something here. And like yes, we will get there. But I think it's important to establish that specific thing about like the crumbs that this keeps dropping here. And also, okay, I just need to talk about Mirta for 1 second because
Love Mirta.
This actress is so goddamn good. But when I think she pretends to not, I think she does that on purpose, where she's like, this woman knows her shit. And when she seems to be like, oh, I told you about these things. And I was like, that is a defense mechanism because la señora sabe. And also, were you getting romance vibes?
Well, we'll get there.
Oh, okay. Great.
It's night, and Pedro tells Jimmy that Jair won't sleep or get out of the car. So what he'll do is he'll have his mom sleep with Santino, and then he'll stay in the car with Jair to make sure he's safe. And he also asked Jimmy about Mirta. Esta es la famosa Mirta.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the romance. He said they giggle and Jimmy is like, I was young and she was younger, and Pedro says, you were always a lovebird. And it's this sweet moment of these brothers. Pedro even says, te quiero, hermano. It's this moment of like calm before the storm almost, where we're discovering a little bit about her, a little bit about Jimmy. We don't know a lot about Jimmy's past, but in this moment, we know that he loves very hard. That Jimmy is, for me to be so bold, Jimmy is a Cancer. Like he was absolutely born in ends of June, beginnings of July.
Falls in love easily. Yes.
Yes, he loves his brother deeply. And so it's nice to have this moment. I think if we were to edit something out, this would be something that maybe somebody would want to cut, but I'm glad that they didn't because we're nailing down like this family is going to work together. At least these two brothers are going to do whatever they can to fix it.
Yeah, I think it's important that we have, a few moments where the brothers reassure each other that they love each other and they trust each other. And I just got to say, there's a sizable age difference between Mirta and Jimmy, and I love it. I was like, yes, Mirta.
She's an older lady, and he is. Also, Jimmy is very attractive.
Yes, come on. Like, both these brothers are cuties, and I was like, Mirta, get it,
Sometimes
lady.
you just get it, do it. So in the car, Pedro lays the seat down, and he tells Jair, he's like, hi, hun, I'm here to protect you. It's Dad. And he grabs a little piece of paper that Jair carries around. And it's a drawing of a sunrise and 5 little people walking towards the horizon. 4 of them are like regular pencil drawings with red marks on the head. And the 5th, which is in the middle, is all in red. Just something to think about at this moment. Everyone in the house sleeps, quote unquote. Jimmy in the living room with a fire, Mirta in her room with candles, and Abue and Santino in their room with a bear that projects light onto the ceiling. Electric light. Outside of the car, someone approaches slowly. A bloody hand slams on the window. In Mirta's room, the shadows grow on their own. And in Abue's room, Santino isn't in the bed with her anymore. Abue looks up. Sabrina, ¿sos vos? Estoy medio dopada because I took a sleeping pill, so I can't really tell. Says Sabrina. Sabrina holds Santino and rocks him gently by the window. I came to get my sons because they need me. And she turns and we see her busted ass face.
Ugh. Well, remember, she was slammed.
Slammed. Ugh. Outside, Jimmy goes to the car and calls for Pedro. está pasando algo. They run back into the house where Abue is downstairs, and she's like, girl, Sabrina's up there, but it ain't Sabrina. Something's going on. Something's bad.
What this? So I gotta say something real quick about this. So these movies that come out that have a lot of hype, the hype is dangerous. We talked about this a little bit a few weeks ago. I try my best to avoid hype. And, I watched this for the first time in an empty theater, and I wasn't as scared as I thought I was going to be. But this moment, when La Abuelita is like, there's somebody with the child, it gives me goosebumps. That is the scariest shit.
Because she says, me asusté.
Oh!
For me, when adults, especially older adults, say, I'm scared, that freaks me out. Because I'm like, you're older. You're supposed to protect me.
And she's supposed to protect this child, but she was so scared that she came all the way downstairs to be like, algo está pasando, por favor. I'm too scared to deal with it. And it's not Sabrina. Algo. Qué horrible.
Willy's.
Entonces
sube el Pedro. He goes upstairs. He opens slowly the door to the room, and he finds Sabrina standing there holding Santino. And she walks slowly out the window and turns. Santino says, Papa? And Sabrina climbs over the railing and jumps. Pedro, in shock, runs downstairs. He's saying, Jimmy se saltó. She jumped, the fucking fucker. Y corren afuera, pero no hay nada. There's no one there. So he runs to check on Jair in the car. The car is covered in blood. Oof. The doors are locked. He breaks the window. He checks. Jair is fine. And then he yells to Jimmy. He yells to Jimmy, go get flashlights. And Mirta is slowly coming outside. And she walks over to the car as Pedro and Jimmy are running around freaking out. Jaime, because she calls Jimmy Jaime. Jaime, hay un demonio. And Jimmy's like, yeah, duh, she just took Santino. And Mirta's like, no, dude, it's in this kid. And he's like, no, niña, si él es autístico. And she's like, no, come here. She opens the door. Look at his hands and feet. A demon got into his head, and now he's trapped. This has happened before with autistic people. They invade the body, pero no pueden descifrar su mente. They can't figure out their minds. So they stay in that limbo for a long time, but después they can possess them. Se lo encarnan. So go get your brother. Let's get inside. Háganme caso los dos. I was like, Mirta!
Again.
Háganme caso. Listen to me. Listen to the women.
Listen to her.
Háganme caso los dos. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Smash cut to a familiar suitcase that we saw earlier with the fucking limpiador and all the tools that we saw too. And Mirta explains. Like the song says, if you're afraid to fall in a hole, he will put a hole under you. It's the 7th rule. You can't be afraid of dying. She wouldn't have come here if you weren't afraid that she would take the boys. You, Pedro, can't get your kid because your fear of losing him will help the demon. La maldad sabe más de tus miedos que ustedes. Evil knows more about your fears than you do. So Jimmy says, I'll go find Santino. And Mirta says, great. And we, Pedro and herself, are gonna go find El Embichado because we have to kill the man to prevent the beast from being born. We call this process el proceso de parto, the birth process. For now, he's only freed his essence. He hasn't been born physically, so we have to abort him now. And Jimmy tells her that they know where the Embichado is. It's by General Pirán. And Mirta's like, that's super far from the town. What the fuck? And they're like, oh, well, we moved him. And she goes, movieron un embichado, sabiendo que estaba embichado. qué imbéciles que son.
Girl, we knew it. The moment El Ruiz was like, I got a great idea. We were all like, Don Ruiz.
Imbéciles.
Idiota.
Imbéciles.
Pero también another thing here, I was like, okay, this is the demonios. Everything we've seen so far is the demonios essence.
This isn't him. He hasn't even begun. This is
Holy
imagínate.
shit. End of the world. End of the world.
End of
Goodbye.
the world. This part gave me the willies. Because they're all set to go. And Mirta and Jimmy stand together. And she points out que las luces del pueblo están apagadas. They've enacted the protocol. And she tells him, drive with no lights on and be careful. The fact that the village, that their town, that su pueblo, that this has happened enough in other places that they have a protocol for this and that the lights are all off. Like, and she's like, no me imagino lo que está pasando allá.
Yes. Well, listen, we saw that it spread to El Perro, a esa niña, a Leo, y ahora la Sabrina. That shit spreads like an infection. So that town, quién sabe. Pero
¿Quién sabe?
what a great way to also be like, there's no help for you. That town, there's no help there.
We can't.
You're on your
anything.
own. Oof.
Yeah. So they're off. Pedro and Mirta and Jimmy on his own, leaving Awe behind with Jair. Through a voiceover, Mirta explains her history to Pedro. My husband was a pastor. We had a church. We were a fraud. And the first encarnado from Buenos Aires showed up at our church, and we thought it was an actor that we usually hire to do these things until he started vomiting all over us. Vomitaba los restos de su familia que se había comido la noche anterior.
Jesus Christ.
He vomited the remains of his family that he had eaten the night before.
Also, the fact that he's like, that she says, we were like of the church and we were frauds.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Dios murió, and the time of the churches ended. And that's when the cobras appeared. Monks showed us the way to kill them before they are born. And that's what my husband and I did for 12 years. Nos hicimos cargo a lo que le hicimos a la fe. We took responsibility to what we did to the faith.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that she's like, we were frauds, we were using religion to probably make money, to be dicks.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're paying for it. Jimmy drives down a wooded road. He flicks his headlights on and off. Mirta continues saying that ambushes started happening more frequently, which isn't surprising why the limpiador was killed earlier in the beginning. And her reflexes started getting slower and getting older, and so she was just like, all I have left is to flee. And she just left and went into hiding. Tal vez la maldad me encontró en la cabeza de Jimmy. And Pedro's like, well, if it's coming for you, then why is it encarnando my kids and shit? And she says, porque el que tiene miedo sos vos. I was like, girl, you're so good at this.
Listen, she is so good, but it's there's so many layers here where I was like, This is a world where God doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That's what the world is here. And like, one would think that this movie, like, it's like a morality tale where it's like, you abandoned God and this is your punishment. But that's not what this movie is trying to say whatsoever. I don't think. But also the fact that it's like, don't give in to your fear. That's the moment you give your fear power. I mean, to me, maybe it's because I'm like, it's like because I do yoga and shit like that. But I was like,
woo juju.
I was like, this is about like, I'm so stupid and cheesy. But I was like, this is about like meditation and like being in the now and being present
Sure.
and being like, do not
Yeah.
be afraid. Just
Uh-huh.
like focus on what is real. There's no need to be afraid. Like you can handle. Honestly, this is the message I got from this film. I was like,
Yeah.
breathe. It's going to be okay. Don't give power to the things that scare you.
Yeah. And something similar to this happens a little later that it's very true. The reason it's chasing you, the reason why you're fucking in the midst of it is because you're allowing it to take over.
It's honestly,
And,
it's like the book The Secret. It's like the more you give power to the idea, like the negative,
yeah.
the more that will
Manifesting.
manifest.
Yep.
You know, and it's like,
Mhm.
don't do that.
Absolutely. Totally. Back to Jimmy. He's flashing those lights on and off, and he sees her. He drives slowly by her, and my girl is elbow deep into her kid's head. Like she is, I'm talking popcorn at the movies. I'm talking a KFC bucket of chicken.
That is,
I'm talking scooping Haagen-Dazs out of that pint. Cherry Garcia who? No, bitch, that's Ben and Jerry's.
I literally was just like, Santino is a bucket of popcorn. La Sabrina was like, I'm taking my child to the movie theaters, sitting him on my lap and just scooping these brains out. Scooping.
Brain ice cream is what she's doing.
Couldn't believe this.
Neither could I. I genuinely was like,
oh,
I was like, what is going to happen with Sabrina and Santino? Like, she's obviously evil, a demon, a zombie. She's not of this world. What's going to happen to this kid? And it was not that. It was not what I expected.
Not for 1 second. But you imagine that the rest of this film is going to be like, we got to go get El Santi. Well, I mean, what are you going to do? Scoop up his brains off the floor?
You can't.
Like, when I watched this movie again to cover it for the pod, I was like, that wasn't what happened, was it? And I had to like pause and be like, her hand is in his head. I still can't believe it. I can't. It's unbelievable.
Also, so smart to drive by it slowly. Haunting.
Yes, and gotta give a shout out to the music too. I was like, ooh, it's just very well done. Again, one of the top, even though it's so brutally fucked up, one of the top moments of this film.
Absolutely. And the fact that Jimmy stops and has to like take it all in, he's like,
you saw it. You saw that.
That's what happened, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy?
You saw
That's what happened. Y el pobre Jimmy is like, well, I can't save him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rev this fucking car and bam, he slams into Sabrina and then smash into a tree. She comes alive for a brief moment and she's like, dijiste que me amabas. And there's a hole in her brain and it's just shit. There's just like stuff falling out of her forehead. Her brains are just falling out and she's talking to him like nothing. Ugh!
Now, a question about this. Remember, she was like, me revolcaba con todos. Are we to assume that maybe, Jimmy, our cancer lovebird, se revolcaba with his fucking brother's ex?
I didn't think about that. That's what makes it. And the fact that Evil is saying this to him probably is a way to throw it in his face.
Exactly. And everything the Evil has said so far has been true.
I didn't think about that, Johnny. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Over with Pedro and Mirta, she points out a sign for a school. Over there. A la maldad le gustan los niños y a los niños le gusta la maldad. I was like, that line.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Give her the Oscar. She's nailed.
And also to the Myung for writing it because it's so true. And not because kids are evil, but because little kids want to see where the boundary is, and they'll be like, that's how they learn, is like, oh, what are the consequences? And so like it is so good.
And
oh
true.
My God.
Kids can be fucking mean.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Some of the meanest things that have been said to me are when I was a child and told to me by children. That's why I mostly avoid them at all costs, because I'm like,
oh God,
my sensitive soul, I can't handle this shit. No.
Your truth bombs children?
No.
I cannot take it.
I refuse. You can stay. You stay over there. I'll be over here. Childrenless.
Exactly.
Childless.
I'm good. Let's check on Awe.
Híjole.
She sits by a fire and she plays with her necklace, which has a little charm on it that is of 4 people, like a little family necklace.
Her family.
I'm assuming her husband, and her 2 sons. Cuando en la puerta appears Jair. Tengo hambre y frío, Awe. Girl.
Terrifying.
And she just sits there and he's like, haceme un té o algo que tomar. And he grabs a blanket and he puts it over his little shoulders. And he passes by behind her and touches her shoulder. And he says, no quiero enfermarme. She is petrified.
The shot of this, oh my God.
That poor woman.
She does so good, though. I was just like...
So good.
Everybody does a great job in this film.
Performances.
The whole, like, autism thing here, I was like, I cannot really, like, place my feelings about it.
Yeah.
But I did find it really fascinating that La Mirta was like, the evil gets in there, but it can't figure it out. And so I was like, this being, this evil is not... It is not all-knowing, even though it knows, mostly everything. But it is not all-knowing in the sense that it cannot figure Jair out. Because if it did, it would know not to do that. And so I was like, this evil has weaknesses as well. And that's how she knows. She's like, oh, yeah. Fuck. I just found that really, really fascinating,
Agreed.
And it also puts a little bit of, again, I'm still trying to, like, kind of feel my feelings out about it, but I feel like it puts a little bit of respect on, autistic people by being like, we do not necessarily understand. And it's like that mind works at a level above that not even this fucking all-knowing evil can figure out. Interesting.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Mirta and Pedro drive up to the school, and Pedro asks, how do you know it hasn't happened already? And Mirta says, the first thing that happens when it is born, se devora la voz de la naturaleza. It swallows the voice of nature. And we can still hear crickets and birds and stuff, so we're good. Turn your fucking flashlight off. From now on, no electricity. And let's do this. They pass by the classrooms, searching. All of them are empty until they get to one. They look in through the window, and there's a bunch of kids sitting at their desks, unmoving, staring forward. Terrifying. Pedro tries to find a way into the school, and him and Mirta are like pulling at doors, and finally they get inside. Mirta goes straight to the classroom with the kids, while Pedro looks around a little bit more and he finds an auditorium. On the stage, he sees it's kind of sprinkled with white powder, and there's little powdery handprints all over the red curtain. He joins Mirta in the classroom, and Mirta whispers to one of the little girls, ¿Dónde está? Lo esconden acá. We came to help you. But the little girl keeps shaking her head, and the little girl behind her says, shh, and blood streams down her mouth. Pedro notices that their feet, these little kids, are covered in white powder also, and their hands. And Mirta suddenly is overtaken by something and she has to run outside and she's retching. She's like, trying not to barf. She says, "Did you smell that? Their breath.
Ugh.
They're not." I know. That was so gross to me.
Yeah.
She said, "They're not going to help us. They're hiding him. Kids protect los embichados." And from the darkness, Pedro sees a boy and a bike approach. Remember when they got swerved in the beginning by a boy and a bike?
Yes.
So Pedro tries to ask him, "Have you found someone who's hurt or someone who came here?" And the boy doesn't answer. He just runs inside. And Mirta explains, "We can't make mistakes or rush ourselves. We have to take care of each other." Pero el chavalito runs back out and he's like, "You guys are looking for Uriel? He's in Maestro Cortez's house." And he points towards one way. And Pedro's starting to get in the truck and Mirta's like, "Nope, this could be a trap." He bang, bang, bang on the window.
Oy.
And it's the same little girl from inside. Oh, bro, the way I jumped?
Yeah.
Shit.
This isn't a very jump scary movie, but
No.
that made me jump.
Yeah. And it's the same little girl from inside who is shaking her head and she cries and cries. "No, es una mentira. Uriel está en mi casa. He's in my house, my house." And Pedro
Girl.
opens the door, slams this little girl into the air, and he's just slapping the shit out of her, like hitting her. "Fuck you, malditos perros, estúpidos," whatever.
No rules in a Demian Rugna film. None
Hit a kid.
whatsoever.
And Mirta very calmly is like, "If they're making us go elsewhere, it means that he is here."
Mirta.
And Pedro-
Yes.
Uh-huh. And Pedro sees on this little girl's feet and hands all that white powder, and he puts two and two together, and they both go, him and Mirta, to the auditorium. And he starts to pull up the stage boards, and underneath there are people. Muertos. Los adultos.
Children of the
Oh.
Corn.
Covered in powder. And Pedro asks, "¿Quién fueron los nenes?" And Mirta and Pedro both turn to the doors of the auditorium where all the kids are standing. Esos ya no son nenes. Ooh, girl, tell me about it. And she's like, "Mira, go get my shit in the truck. Do not run. El bicho está allá abajo, underneath the stage." And Pedro goes. Mirta looks into the hole in the stage and she says, "Te encontramos, hijo de puta."
Hell
So I was
yeah.
like, "Mirta!"
You tell him.
And the little girl from before is like, "You guys have to go. He's going to kill you. Those are all the teachers and the parents. They are covered in lies so that they wouldn't be found. You have to leave." And Mirta's like, "Don't take another step, you little bitch." I love Mirta. And Pedro comes back and with all her things and she starts to assemble this machine and she instructs him to take the boards out and take him out from under the stage. So Pedro's taking these planks off and he starts to move these dead bodies and there he is, Uriel. And Mirta asks, "Is he still alive?" Y Uriel takes a breath. Yep, still alive.
Ugh.
Mátame. Pero la Mirta says the only way to kill him is with this contraption. Don't you fucking dare it. This Da Vinci looking thing is the one that has to fucking kill the guy. And then she's like, "Necesito verle la nuca." You need to pull him up so I can see his neck. Necesito verle la nuca. Pero remember, this guy is a humongous
Oh my God.
ball of pus.
And he's like underneath bodies.
Exactly. And Uriel delivers, I think, what is like the meatiest part of Pedro's story. This is where we really find out.
Mm-hmm.
Te querías quitar la vida y la de tus niños. You wanted to kill yourself and your kids. And you couldn't do it, but you can do it with me. So that was the tapando la estufa.
Yes.
I bet you, I mean, it's never said. My assumption is that they were probably in a fight and Sabrina was like, "I'm going to take the kids." And he's like, "No, you won't. I'm going to kill myself and the kids so you won't have the kids." And then that's how it all happened, is what I'm assuming.
Now, do you remember that El Jimmy was like, oh, that's just fucking chismes, basically. What do you think? That this is fact?
I think it's real.
This
I
is
think
real?
It's fact.
Yeah. So that's something that I think might have been kind of lost a little bit with the subtitles.
The heater translation,
yeah. But it's in there. It's in there, you know?
And in another way, I also think this may have been lost in translation just in like Argentinian lifestyle. Like, because when I saw that machine that we saw very quickly, the quote unquote heater, I was like, ¿qué es eso? Like, I'm sure any Argentinian would be like, that's the heater that we all have in our houses, kind of thing. It looks like something that would be part of a home very commonly.
Yeah.
So you know, us being gringos, like, it's not a radiator. You can't like apart el radiator kind of thing.
But I mean, this also explains why restraining order, why El Pedro and Jimmy are out living like hermits in the middle of nowhere.
Correcto.
It's all
and
clear.
why the cops are like, don't get in trouble again. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So the little girl keeps yelling, Mira, there's an axe over there in this other room. You can use it to like lift the things. Y la Mirta's like, don't listen to her. She's a fucking liar. Don't fucking do it. Saca el embichado. Get him out of there. Pero el Pedro es un estúpido. And he goes to the other room looking for the axe. And from the other room, we hear Mirta screaming, No me dejes sola. Don't leave me alone. It's a trap. And we see a child from the outside lock Pedro in with using some wire around the doorknobs. And then we hear dismantling and crashing, and Mirta screams. And then a scuffle and more yelling. And then Pedro looks out from the window. The machine is dismantled, and all these little kids are dragging Mirta away. And she looks over to Pedro, and I read this as, I fucking told you so, dude.
Yes. I fucking told.
The way she looks at him, she's like, my dude, te dije, ¿qué te dije?
And then whack. Goodbye.
When that hammer hit, dude.
Holy shit.
Because a little girl comes and grabs a hammer and just en el medio del forehead, leaves a hole there.
Oh my God.
Ay, Dios. And then continues as they're dragging her. This little girl is like, wee, smack.
Yep.
Smack. Smack. La pobre Mirta. She didn't deserve it.
No.
Finally, El Pedro crashes the window, is able to undo the wire, and gets out of the fucking room. He sees on the floor all the pieces of this dismantled machine when he hears, Pedro. He looks over towards the stage, and just the top of Uriel's head is popping out from under the ground. You know what it reminded me of? Remember in Parasite when that head comes out from like the that's what it gave me that kind of vibes.
This shot was hilarious. You know what it gave me? It
hilarious.
Gave me Leatherface in the dead sunflower field in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah,
just like,
hello.
more just single head popping up shots in horror, please.
It's so good.
I
hilarious.
love it.
So Pedro does the unthinkable. He grabs a chunk of one of the tools and he runs over to the stage and he bashes Uriel's head in.
Dude.
Like fucking bashes it.
No.
And the children come into the auditorium and they watch him smash this guy's head in and they smile. Pedro falls to his knees. And from the stage, it's in the background. We can't really see. But something climbs out of the hole. These little feet walk over to Pedro, who's kneeling on the floor. It's a young boy. He's covered in blood. He runs his bloody hand over Pedro's head, anointing him with said blood. The newborn walks over to the other children, who smilingly open the doors for him. A dog outside licks his bloody hand. As the sun rises over a field, the bloody boy walks towards the horizon, and the other children follow him. Now, remember the drawing.
Yep.
How is this connected? Can you explain this to me?
No, I can't. I don't think so. Unless el Jair was possessed before, but I don't think so. Or like, oh, wait, I can. Because
oh God.
Remember, there's a moment at the house, way back at the house, when El Pedro goes to pick everybody up, and he's trying to get Jair to tell him where the car keys are. Y el little Santino is like, that's not how he draws to communicate. Do you remember that? I think that's what he says. So I think that he did draw that once he was poseído. Does that make sense?
Sure.
This was a what do you call it? An omen, basically. The omen.
Yeah.
What do they say?
The omen. Okay, I don't hate that. I think that's a good little reasoning. Okay. Pedro drives back to Mirta, where he meets Jimmy outside. They hug. Jimmy cries. Pero then Pedro sees Jair, and he runs to him. They drive back to their house. The one in like the land, in the original space. At the dinner table, Jair finally gets some apple ice cream, and Pedro showers. But when he comes out, he sees in the mirror that those 4 little bloody finger marks, the anointment, is still there. He can not get it off. Outside, Jimmy goes to the stable, and he finds the young boy, Maria Elena's son. He's holding the revolver. He explains that there was a voice in his head that made him kill the person that was going to clean Uriel. I cut his body, and I gave it to the pigs to eat. And I also ate of that body. ¿Y tu mamá? Jimmy asks. ¿Qué pasó con tu mamá? Lo mismo que le pasó a tu mamá. Back in the house, Jair starts to choke on his ice cream. And Pedro goes to check on him, and he pulls out the spoon, pero he's still coughing something up. So Pedro reaches in his mouth to try and pull something out. But then there's blood. He reaches deeper, and he pulls out hair, knotted, and a chunk of scalp. And then more hair, like a full ball of it. This is the second time I gagged. I was like, oh my God.
Well, the kid delivers too. Like
delivers.
It's so nauseating.
It's so nasty. And also, like, it's not just hair, it's hair and blood. It's like hair and blood.
He's coughing and gagging. Oh my
and
God.
Gurgling. Ugh. And once this big chunk of hair comes out, he spits up one last thing. It's Abue's necklace. Pedro walks out of the house. Jimmy goes to him, pero Pedro falls to his knees. He sobs. Jimmy leans against the truck. The camera pulls away slowly from these brothers as Pedro silently screams. Fin de la película.
Nailed. Love. Thank you for the storytelling. I just had to say, 2 of my favorite moments or shots are at the end of this film here, where, you know, El Jair is vomiting up this shit, and we get a close-up on his eyes, and they quickly flicker to like look over, and I was
look
like,
at his dad.
Demonio! Demonio! Y también,
Demonio.
There's a shot, you know, because he's spitting up sangre, pero también he was eating the ice cream, or I guess, you know, pretending to be like, oh, it's just me eating the ice cream. And when the necklace falls.
Is that what you think?
What?
Do you think this is still the demon pretending? Yeah. I thought this was the demon, like, I'm still figuring out this kid's body.
I think that's pretending. I think, okay. Maybe at this point, it's like figured out more. And that's the eye flicker that it's like, are you believing this? Or like, pero you see her necklace just like, sink into
the
that,
melting ice cream.
And I was like, that's your family has been obliterated. It's just the
Eviscerated.
two of you. Well, Eileen, you nailed. This was
Thanks,
a
dude.
terrifying, disgusting delight.
Oh,
Let's
so
get into
gross.
some trivia.
Woo!
All right, everybody, this is my trivia for today. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Pablo Fu, who was the composer for this film. And by the way, he was also composer for the film Pussy Cake.
Hey, that's
Pussy Cake.
cool.
Yeah. Also, let's quickly talk about the band Pasco 637. So if you stick around for the credits, you're going to hear a song. This isn't what it sounds like, but it's like, Cuando acecha la maldad. It's basically like a rock song that is the title of this film. And
Yeah.
it's performed by this Argentinian band, Pasco 637. And Demian Rugna is a founding member of this band. And he actually plays guitar on the song Cuando acecha la maldad.
There's a dope guitar solo in it too. Like he's like,
Yeah. There are two guitarists apparently like credited in the song, so I'm like,
Oh,
I
okay.
choose to believe it's Demian.
I
pero-
choose to believe he is the
Yeah.
soloist.
Yes, quien sabe. So if you want to follow them, they have an Instagram at Pasco_637. They also have a YouTube page where they have a bunch of music videos. And on the YouTube page, it has like a little description that says they formed in 1998. They played live for the first time in 2004 at Moron Rock. Moron? Probably not Moron, pero Moron Rock.
Moron rock.
And then 10 years after their formation, they came around with a new name, which is in homage to the house of La Abuela Tata. And I believe that was the address, Pasco 637. And they say,
Oh, that's nice.
La dirección de la mítica casa que albergó generaciones de músicos, Pasco 637. So thought that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Now, let's talk about this article that I found from Polygon.com. It was written by Tasha Robinson, came out just a little bit ago, October 29th of 2023. And so this movie had a lot of themes and some that I was like, I don't think I'm quite understanding this. So thank goodness for these articles and interviews. So it says here that at the beginning of the film, it becomes clear that the government has systems in place to handle the encarnado. And those systems have failed entirely because of bureaucratic indifference and laziness. And apparently, Demian got the idea for When Evil Lurks from a series of news stories about farm pesticides in his native Argentina causing widespread health issues. Demian says the owners of those lands contaminate those fields with glyphosate. Glyphosate? Oh, y'all, you know how I am with science words.
Glyphosate.
Glyphosate. To kill bugs, basically pesticide. There's a lot of people who work in those fields and they get cancer. You'd probably see a little kid with cancer because they are workers. They didn't say anything, or if they say something, nobody knows. And Demian suggests that corporate apathy about the workers' health and the way the issue occurred out in the middle of nothing, he says, or in the middle of nowhere, where it's easy for profiteers and city dwellers to ignore the impact of their choices, started him thinking about the idea of lurking evils giving free rein to spread.
En el culo del mundo.
Uh-huh. The pesticide infected them, says Rugna. Kids were born with cancer. Sometimes you see something in the news, but then there's nothing more to say, and you forget the image. They're in the middle of nothing, el culo del mundo, the middle of poverty. They must do work for less than a couple dollars, and they're all ill. After you turn off the television, you forget, but they are still there, and they're probably going to die. He says it happens too often that people who work the land get abandoned by the system. When I decided to make a movie, he says, with some kind of exorcism, I thought, okay, but what happens if the people cannot reach a priest? All the exorcist movies happen in the city, in a big house. But what if we're in the middle of nothing, in a poor house, with poor people who nobody cares for? Even the owners of the land want to get rid of them to burn their houses. It happens in my own country all the time. And he adds here, not the demons, but, the rest of it.
Cute.
Also, I just have to say, interesting that this was made in time. Like, this gave me pandemic vibes as well.
Yeah,
Like,
I
fears
also was
about
like COVID-y.
contamination. Yeah, totally, right?
Mhm.
Which I mean, it's possible he spoke about that. I mean, clearly this movie was filmed over COVID times, pero,
Listen, cancer is also a thing that spreads horribly.
Yeah.
Not contaminated, but in your body.
He continues that he didn't set out to make a message movie, just one that would scare audiences. I've noticed for myself in my movies, for a greater horror story, I just want to make you suffer.
He's so good at it.
But he adds, and the social element just comes along with my culture. Which I guess, I mean, in so many of these movies that we've seen all across Latin America, it's like that does come through,
Absolutely.
in all these countries, We're just artistically connected. That's me saying that, Johnny. The article continues, ironically, for a movie inspired by bureaucratic indifference to the suffering of children, though, one of the biggest limits on his film was bureaucratic regulations about how he could handle his child cast. The government was limiting, said Demian. Among other things, in spite of the violence of the scenes involving blood, they weren't allowed to have artificial blood on the kid's skin at the time. In another scene, a teenager wasn't allowed to hold a gun during an emotional monologue. All the time, says Demian, it was horrible to work with the kids. Not for the kids, but because of the rules, basically. And
Wow.
I did see, I can't remember what. I watched an interview with him where he specifically said that they had to cover the kids with blue, quote unquote, blood, and then just correct it and edit later in order to make it red.
I noticed when the kid came out all covered in blood, I was like,
looks like paint.
What is with this blood?
Yes.
The blood looked very interesting in that I was like, it's particularly sticky.
Yes.
But also like the color itself, like there was something about it. I was like, is this it can't be CGI, but I guess kind of if you got to adjust the color.
They had to adjust the color. But, I don't mind it looking
Fascinating.
so much like paint because when he's anointed, it really stays.
Yeah.
Like even after he bathes. So anyway, I thought that was really, really fascinating. It almost seems like I like that he doesn't set out to give us a message, but yet again, we were like, there's something in there. And I just wanted to know more. So glad we have more information on it. And that is my trivia for today.
Love it. I also have a little bit more about Demian Rugna. I found an article on Fangoria.com called Curses, Contaminants, and Canines. Demian Rugna on when evil lurks?
When?
Is that the title?
Yeah.
Oh, like
when?
I don't know why my brain was like, on when evil lurks. And then the subtitle is, the director discusses turning real-world nightmares, and in parentheses, and a particular breed of dog, into the horror movie of the year. This was written by Fio Sargenti on October 30th, 2023. Demian Rugna is living what in his country, Argentina, is called el sueño del pibe, every kid's dream. Fangoria asks, you've just made history at the Sitges Festival. This was the first Latin American film to win at Sitges, which is very cool. You've received praise from filmmakers such as James Wan and Scott Derrickson, showcased your film at TIFF and Fantastic Fest, and even trended on TikTok. How has your journey been to get here? Coming from Argentina, what were your biggest challenges? And Demian says, when I started, making horror films was quite striking because no one believed that there were people in Argentina making horror movies. Typically, we had to explain that there were more of us than people thought. We faced the challenges of independence and also had to contend with the skepticism that many viewers had towards our own cinema, especially when it came to horror films. It was seen as a ridiculous idea at the time, and we had to find our audience with producers who came from other genres. Only now there are producers who are 30 or 40 years old and have a different approach, who love fantastic cinema. It wasn't like that when I started and was trying to push my script I've experienced times when they didn't support this kind of cinema at all, and then it started to change and embrace fantastic cinema as well. I love that he calls it fantastic cinema.
It is. Absolutely. Fantastical.
Totally. Those were my beginnings at a time when nobody paid attention to this type of cinema in Argentina, except for a group of nerds and freaks who all knew each other. We had no audience, no producers, but slowly that changed. As an Argentinian, I guess the writer of this is Argentinian. I have to say that When Evil Lurks has a very Argentine look and feel. And Demian says, you see, in our fields in Argentina, especially in the last decade, when you travel, if you look down from the plane, you see a green carpet of soybean plantations. Maybe in other countries you see more forests, but we have a carpet of soybeans planted. And all the time you see a horizon of fields with little houses in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, damn, what kind of drama are these people living there? They might be contaminated, sick, and no one knows anything. And you drive by in a car or fly over, and those people are still there. That made me think, what if those people who are there, seemingly unnoticed by anyone, instead of being sick, have a demon in the family? Okay. And the last part I'll say of this article, which is what I loved about it, was, you went for several elements that are known to be tough to film, especially in a low-budget horror movie like Kids and Animals. It's like you wanted to make it more challenging on purpose. What was the biggest hurdle? And Demian says, it was incredibly challenging, honestly. We chose complex animals. Goats are just crazy. Even if you train them or think they'll do something, they often end up doing their own thing.
Sure.
And the dog we chose is particularly hard to train. There were easier breeds to work with, but we'd seen them in too many movies, and they didn't have the intimidating and horrifying look that a Dogue de Bordeaux has. Trainers advised against it, saying they're lazy, unresponsive, and other things, especially when working with kids. So we first held audition for trainers. What mattered most to me was that the appearance was horrifying. I'm sorry if I upset any Dogue de Bordeaux fans, but to me, they are.
Oh, wow.
And that it had the right presence. I also didn't want it to be too common. Sure, one appears in that Tom Hanks movie, but it's a different context. I just love that that he doesn't like Dogue de Bordeaux.
Yeah.
So, on that note, let's talk about the Dogue de Bordeaux.
All right.
This is the Wikipedia on these sweet babies. The Dogue de Bordeaux, Bordeaux Mastiff, French Mastiff, or Bordeaux dog is a large French Mastiff breed. The Bordeaux is a very powerful dog with a very muscular body. The Dogue de Bordeaux was known in France as early as 14th century, particularly in southern France in the region around Bordeaux. The breed was first exhibited in France in 1863, after which time it gained in popularity not only in their home country, but in other parts of the world. So it explains, like, the way they look, that they're muscular and usually orange and have, like, folds and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to go to temperament just because I don't want this movie to spread rumors that sweet Dogues de Bordeaux are bad. The Dogue de Bordeaux typically is well-tempered. They are generally described by multiple breed standards as a gentle giant, based upon their stocky, low-barring, and strong exterior, but have a loving and sweet personality. This breed is known to be laid back and is happiest lounging around the house and spending time with the family. They are typically very devoted to their owners, and those seen as calmer breed are also good guard dogs. This breed is very protective of their family, and even though they were initially bred as war dogs, then they were used for hunting and guarding French estates. Though not used for that purpose anymore, it allows them to easily dominate a situation if provoked or in protection of their family. you may see them watching through the window, ready to alert at a sign of danger. But mostly, they have a strong personality and very stubborn and are very lazy and sweet to their family.
Oh.
They're so don't worry, guys. Dogue de Bordeaux are not going to bite your face unless you're a fucking dick to it. And that's the end of my trivia.
Great. You want to answer some questions for me?
Absolutely.
Eileen, were you scared?
Yes, absolutely. ¿Y tú?
Yes, I was definitely scared. What was your best scare?
Ooh. The axe chop to the face in the beginning, just because I was like, whoa, surprise. Not Jimena's, when Jimena chops.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just because I was like, whoa, what the fuck? It just surprised me so much. The dog attack surprised me a lot, just her getting shook. But if I'm going to go with like the willies, it's when Jair came in and was like, tengo hambre y frío, abue. And I was like, ugh.
Yes.
No me gusta. And you?
My best scare, I have two, was when that mama was like, somebody's upstairs with Santi. I thought, oh God, please God, no.
Yeah.
Pero también I have to agree, when Haid comes in and is like, I'm cold. No. Absolutely not. Who was your favorite character?
I'm going to give it to Jimmy and Mirta because I love that he was like, I'm going to stand by my brother. I'm going to help him out. And Mirta, because she's a badass bitch.
Yeah.
But also, honestly, top-notch performances all around. Fucking Pedro was very good, too.
Even the kids. The kids were good. Yeah. I got to say something just real quick about Jimmy, too, that I love that they give us the crumbs about the relationship right at the top of the movie where he sees the dead body and he sees the Da Vinci machinery and he's like, I've seen this before.
Something, this
and
looks familiar.
It all ties in because, his love of Mirta. Anyway, my favorite character was also Mirta. She was fabulous. I meant to cover her in trivia, but I forgot. I apologize. So I just wanted to mention that this actress, her name is Silvina Sabater. She has a storied career. She is a teacher at the Escuela de Arte Dramático in Argentina, an incredible performer of theater, film, clearly so good at what she does. So I just wanted to give her a shout out. And I don't think she's teaching anymore. So, that's too bad. Pero La Reina, buenísima. So just want to give her a shout out. And it's got to be her favorite character, Mirta, the queen.
For sure.
What was your best line?
Oh my God, so many. Okay. Por eso me tuve que ir a revolcar con todos, just because I love the word revolcar. Dicen pelotudenses total es gratis. I love that. Everybody talking shit because it's free. Mm-hmm. Qué imbéciles que son. Because I love the word imbécil. Pero, I think to me, the top is top. A la maldad le gustan los niños. Y a los niños le gusta la maldad.
That's mine. That had to be
nice.
It. Like, I was like, more, like, not thesis statement of this film necessarily, because it's not all about evil children, but still, I was like, Mirta nailed it. That line lands. So that was mine too. Very good. What was your best death?
This is hard. I even left it blank. I'm gonna give it to Ruiz and Jimena, the first.
Yeah.
Just because it was just so bing, bang, boom, Goat, Ruiz, Jimena. And it was just like, this is snowballing so fast. And it really was the perfect example of how the evil travels. And I was like, this is great. Although every single one was so good.
Honestly,
and horrifying.
This movie, it's like you don't think any moment will be able to top that moment, but nothing. I won't say anything tops it, but it's all like pretty much like they all kind of deliver.
Yeah.
Very much agree with that. I have two different ones. I give it to Santi because, again, I just was not prepared to see that boy with his head being eaten
Yeah.
like a fucking tub of popcorn. Was not ready.
You're like a fucking watermelon.
And also, I gotta give a little shout out to Pedro and Jimmy's mama. You don't see her die.
But that reveal.
The coughing up scene of the hair and the necklace is so horrifying and so gross. And it's like, what do you mean by like eating them? You mean just like the flesh? Are we talking like all of them? What is left? I don't know. That image was just, it's just so horrifying. So,
and even Mirta being like, no, el primer encarnado que nos llegó y nos vomitó todas las partes de su familia. This is just a thing that evil does. Like all the,
consumes. Oof, fucked. Did you learn anything about the culture?
I think so. I saw enough of Argentina that I don't usually see. And like this, like these secluded areas, these farmlands. I didn't know what cagón was until now.
Sure.
So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say I learned. ¿Y tú?
I also said yes. And, you know, part of that was post research about like pesticides in Argentina. But I said, yes, I definitely did. And finally, how many uis do you give this movie?
5, dude. That's 5. There's no way it ain't 5.
Nice.
These kills, the story, the way it's shot, the way it looks. The performances. The hype is real. I mean, this may not be for everybody because it is tough. And it's funny that we talked about after you saw it, I was like, is it really as horrible as everybody's saying? And you were like, I think you'll be fine. And I was fine. I genuinely was still like shocked.
Yeah.
But you know, not for the faint of heart, but it's also so good. And genuinely pretty fast. Like it moves along.
Yeah.
An hour 45, that's a decent fucking movie, dude.
Yeah.
I loved it. I had such a good time and was constantly like holding my face and like my jaw dropping. Absolutely. 5 for me. Iwo?
Well, first of all, I just need to add to that I'm so, you know, it's as you like, I feel like I'm like, okay, I've been a horror fan for a long, long time. And with you, since you are newer to the whole horror genre, it makes me very happy when you watch something and you're like, no, it really genuinely got me. I gave this movie 4 out of 5 uis. I loved this movie. I will say the hype, I was like, it was just a touch overhyped for me.
I think I'll agree.
I expected to be I was disturbed, please, like 100% disturbed. Some of the stuff in this film I could not believe I was watching, but I was scared, but I expected to be more terrified, not to, you know, bring up his other films.
Sure.
But that does not detract from this film at all. Great performances. It looks fucking good. You can see how Demian has grown as a director. It leaves you asking questions that I think are important questions about religion, about, you know, our fears and like not giving into these fears. To me, what really stuck out in this film, I'm repeating myself, but it was like, listen to women, listen to, or, you know, to me, it was specifically women, but it was like, I don't think that was the message that Demian was going out for. Like, it was basically like, calm down your impulse, slow down. Mirta specifically says, don't run. We need to take our time. Like, I love that. Calm it down, slow it down, and like, don't be afraid. You're going to be okay. And like, had all these people just listened to the ladies in their life, it would have been okay. I mean, honestly, no, I don't think that's true. I think everybody was fucked in this movie. Like, either way,
Absolutely.
all this shit was going to go down.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that one of the best horror films of 2023 is from Latin America. You know,
I agree.
I feel like Latin America has nailed this year in horror. So,
I agree.
I'm so excited. This excites me to see what's next. And fucking 4 out of 5 movies. What this movie delivered.
Delivers. I think I agree. Not just because, like, for our podcast sake, like, it's nice there's something validating of being like, we've been telling you, like, we got good shit, dude.
Pay attention,
and
everybody.
Yeah, and the fact that this is here and this is happening and this is taking over, it feels particularly validating on our case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my only child, Tora self, loves to be right. So
don't I know it?
Don't let me throw this in everybody's face, but watch me wind up and fully chuck it. Amazing. Guys, watch this fucking movie. What a great time. A genuine horror filled. Thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate you hiding out from evil with us. Johnny in the pitch darkness. It's hilarious. Thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate every single one of you. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen in cualquier plataforma. Check out our Patreon where we have our supplemental quote-unquote episodes every other Monday where we'll have a little video for you guys to entertain yourselves. Patreon.com/uyquehorror. Follow us on our redes sociales at uyquehorror on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok as well. Send us an email at uyquehorror@gmail.com. Find every single one of our movies on our Linktree, linktr.ee/uyquehorror. Thank you to Sonoro for being the Häagen-Dazs pint that we scoop our child's brains out.
Yikes.
Of.
Wow.
You can follow them at Sonoro Podcast on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok as well. And Johnny, if you were to become a ball of pus that I had to take care of until somebody properly came to kill you, that's exactly what I would do. I would wipe your pussy penis and all.
Until somebody came to properly pop me.
Yeah, to just stick a little finger in you.
Just a little lancet. Oh, God.
Disgusting.
Dr. Pimple Popper.
I fucking love you, dude.
I fucking love you too.
And we'll see you guys en 2 semanas. Adios.
Adios. Uy, qué horror es una producción de Sonoro.
Produced by Jonathan Atkinson and Eileen Clark. Escuche Uy, qué horror en cualquier plataforma donde escuchen podcasts.
Subscribe, rate, and review.
Adios.
Adios.
Sonoro.
Welcome back, Ghoul friends. Weren't they amazing? One more time, huge shout out to our special guests this week. And again, tune in every week for the month of December for a different guest. Now, I just want to make clear that I am not going to be moving to a weekly schedule. This is just a winter holiday treat for you, and I hope that you enjoy it. I will be back in January. I already miss you so much, and I'm hiding in the walls of your house. I'm kidding, I'm not. But I can't wait to be back. Again, I hope that you're enjoying your break. One more time, if you have your own scary story that you would like me to share on the show, you already know how to send it in. You can send it via email, DM on social media, through my website, a Spotify Q&A, Apple Podcast review. You know how it goes, and the easiest way to support the show is to interact with it wherever you are listening. Make sure to follow me on social media to keep up with what I'm doing throughout the holiday. As far as Patreon goes, that's patreon.com/sustopodcast. Patrons will get these episodes early and ad-free. Best Ghoul friends, you can expect some video content to come out this month. The paranormal investigation that I did with the Paranormal Putas over at the Brass Tap in Round Rock, Texas is going to be a Best Ghoul friend exclusive on Patreon. One more time, I hope that you all are enjoying this holiday season. I cannot wait to be back in January. Until then, I will see you in the next one, and have a very merry, scary holiday. Bye.